Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've just uploaded last week's handicap analysis video, and this is this week's. A lot less this week because of the weather. We've obviously had lots of abandonments over the last week, and there might even be less again next week because we've got so much racing being abandoned due to the snow and fog and freezing conditions, etc. So let's have a look at those that caught my eye this week, starting off with Broadway Boy, who's been dropped back to his 150 mark. He was due to go up another pound to 151, and although he got beat at the weekend off 150, or on New Year's Day, sorry, on 150, I don't think that was his running. I really don't. He went off 5 to 6 that day. Interestingly, he went off 5 to 6. The three that I kind of looked at, none of them won. Chantry House won it. I don't know how he won it. I wouldn't have been interested in him. Broadway Boy just wasn't able to dominate from the front. I kind of feel that they might have been doing that deliberately. I think they might have gone, we can win off about 150 at the Cheltenham Festival. Why would you want to win a Betfair handicap chase on New Year's Day at Cheltenham? Get absolutely no recognition, no, people wouldn't be that interested really. It was a 5-runner affair. Why would you try and win that? 26 grand as well, when you can save him for the Ultima. Now, if he does run in the Ultima, I think he will have a massive chance. And I actually highlighted him for the Ultima way back in October when he finished 3rd behind the 2 Henry de Bromhead horses. He since came out and finished second, a good second, in the Coral Gold Cup at Newbury, and then, as I said, he's had that one disappointing run when I don't think they were trying. Take that run out, his form at Cheltenham reads really well, as you can see here, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3. And yeah, I think he will run a huge race in the Ultima. If he does end up in the Ultima, which I'm pretty confident he will, 20s isn't a bad price. I think he'll go off shorter than that. If he turns up there, I think he'll go off much shorter than that. I think he goes off single figures. If he turns up off this mark of 150, surely that's where they're going to go now. He's had enough runs this season. The 3 runs, you leave it till Cheltenham now, off 150 and go really close. With that in mind, I wouldn't mind too much if Lamilos then did switch to the Kimure. We would have to have a few more bets on him in the Kimure as well as the Ultima. But yeah, Broadway Boy off his 150 mark. Ignore last time out. You're getting a better price about him. He went a 5 to 6 for a handicap. He went a 4 to 1 for a Coral Gold Cup. He went off 9 to 4 favourite for the race at the beginning of the season in October. You can currently get 20s about him. He's going to go off shorter if he turns up here, and I think he will. Moving on to Midnight River for the Dan Skelton team. He's dropped £3 to 145 from 148, and that was a disappointing effort. The only thing I would say, he was very weak in the market. Drifted out to 14 to 1 in a race that he should have been able to go a lot closer in, considering he'd won it a couple of years before off the £3 lower mark at 6 to 1. So why was he so weak? Probably the ground went against him, the very soft ground. I don't think really suited him. I just wonder whether they were really trying. He travelled quite nicely, held up, never really asked for much of an effort after being slightly hampered. I feel that they were looking after him again and they're going, we're not really going to try on New Year's Day. We're going to get him handicapped for something, probably the plate, and I think we'll see him back at in the plate. And if he does disappoint again, you can see that he went off just 15 to 2 for this in 2023. If he does disappoint, he might drop another couple of pound. If he drops another couple of pound, he could come back for this race at Aintree. So he's currently rated 145. Say he disappointed at Cheltenham and dropped to 143. He could run at Aintree off 143, having won this race in 2023 of a mark of 151. So a much higher mark, and he won it. That's surely what he's going to do. He did exactly the same plan 2 years ago. He went Cheltenham in January, Cheltenham in March, Aintree in April. I've seen no reason to change that at all, and you can try and pick up one of those 2 races. Moving on to Liari, who has dropped £2 to 127. I do think he's well handicapped. He's now £7 lower than when going off 9 to 2 for the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle last year. I don't think the step up in trip suited. I don't think it worked. He travelled quite nicely. I don't think he picked up at the end when he was asked for a bit of an effort. Disappointing, but did drop £2 in the handicap. What do you do with him? So I think with him, you run him in the Scottish County Hurdle back at Musselburgh. He won at Musselburgh last season over 2 mile in the Scottish Triumph. He won comfortably. They tried 2.5 at Musselburgh. It didn't work, but he still ran well enough to suggest that if he'd been running over 2 mile, he probably would have gone close. So run Liari in this race, and I think they can win the Scottish County Hurdle, which is on the early February. Their other horse, I say their other horse, it's the same owners, I believe. No, this is Paul Vogt now. I'm sure Liari runs in the same colours. We can actually see that if we look here. Oh no, they are different colours, sorry. What do you do with Affadil then? So, Affadil went to Southall for a handicap hurdle over 2 mile. Disappointed for sure. Olive rode that day. Didn't give it the strongest of rides, to be honest. Got beat 63 lengths. Has dropped now down to a mark of 120. That actually means he is really well handicapped. He won a handicap, the Scottish County Hurdle last year of 124. So could potentially come back for that. But I think that Liari should do that. I just wonder whether he's got the speed now for 2 miles. 5th in a county off 130. 3rd at Aintree in the Alder Hay off 130. 4th in the Scottish Champion Hurdle off 130. So running off 120, he is well handicapped. I just think he needs to go up in trip now. Now that he's 5, he's not got the speed for 2 mile. This race here is where I'd be going. It is the 2 miles free handicap hurdle at Ascot. He's got some good form at Ascot, including when finishing 2nd to Blue King Daru back in 2023. His 2 efforts this season were okay, 4th and 5th, but over 2 mile, that extra 3 furlongs and 58 yards will probably really suit him. And I think that's where we've got to see Affadil. He's got to go up in trip now. 2 mile isn't working. And finally, the last horse I want to talk about is Benson, who has dropped £3 to 129. And he's suddenly getting very well handicapped, Benson. Just need to find out what to do with him. He is a tricky ride. I think we might see him back here at Kelso for the Moor Battle Hurdle. If we look at the Moor Battle, look who we beat. Colonel Mustard and Lo de Sood. That's really good form. He won it that day. Off a mark of 134. He's only rated 129. Yes, he came back last year for the Moor Battle and he disappointed, but that was off a mark of 139. He's £10 lower this year. Go back and give it another go. Give it another go at Kelso in the Moor Battle, and if he switches on and gets racing in that last half mile, then he might be close enough to reel them back in off a mark that he can certainly win off. A £5 lower mark than when winning, and a £10 lower mark than when disappointing last year, but only going off 7-1. So they're my horses this week. Broadway Boy, got to go for that Ultima. If he does, he's going to go off single figures. Midnight River for the Plate and Aintree. I'd probably back him in both. I'd probably back him at Aintree if he gets beat at Cheltenham. But probably I'll be backing him at both. Liari can stay for that Scottish County Hurdle, and Affadil goes up in trip for the race at Ascot, whilst Benson should go back for the Moor Battle Hurdle.